Thank you so much for stopping in to my craft room today to visit with me. I'm so glad you're here. In today's episode, we're going to be doing 10 farmhouse DIYs using Dollar Tree supplies because I love to craft on a budget. All right, friends, now let's get crafting. For this project, we're going to be taking 3 of this galvanized 10 frames and then one of these long signs. They have a bunch of different shapes cut out on them. So we're going to start by just popping off the back supported leg on the frame and the tag. I mean, technically you don't have to take off the tag because no one's ever going to see that, but I'm going to do it just for a good habit. And then I'm going to add on some E6000 in the corners and come back in with some glue to make sure this is really going to lock on there nice and sturdy. And I'm going to place these 3 frames covering up the star and working my way, spacing them out so that the black around the frames are nicely spaced going down the long sign. Once I've got all 3 of them in place and they're nice and glued in and sturdy, I'm going to take a buffalo check or gingham, whichever you want to call it, ribbon, and I'm going to turn that into a bow. Now, after adding the bow to it, I felt like it still needed a little bit more zhuzhing, and you're going to see in just a second that I'm going to come back in with some greenery. But first, I'm going to add down my bow and get that in place. Once you've got that glued on there, and you don't have to put a bow, you could put some kind of a cute tag down at the bottom if you wanted to. I'm now going to come up to the top. I'm going to take some twine, thread on some of these raw wood beads at the top. I thought this was really pretty, very farmhouse looking, and I'm just going to simply tie that twine into place and tuck the last of that up into the bead so it's all hidden and concealed and looks store-bought versus just crafting. Now I'm going to take some boxwood, and this is where the greenery is going to come in. I'm going to just put 4 little sprigs kind of nestled into each other and then one right in the middle to fill up these spaces in between. There was something about adding this greenery that really gave it a finished, polished look. I could see Kirkland's carrying something like this in their store. Now, again, I can't help myself. I can stop there or I can just go a little bit further. So I'm going to add this star button, which I just think is so cute for summer, especially around July. And then I'm going to add one more button layered on top. I thought it would be so much fun to create a sheep decor piece. So we're going to use some black felt, a wood round from the Dollar Tree, some yarn, a wooden square frame box, and a craft stick. Start by drilling 2 holes on your wood round right on the sides. This is going to be the leg of our little sheeps where our legs meet into the body. Go ahead and remove from the back side the staples, the twine, and the hang-up metal piece on the back. And then we're going to figure out how long we want the legs to be on our little sheep. Go ahead and cut that down. Make sure they're the same length, measure them, cut them, and then after that we're going to glue them into the wood round. Now I like to use a combination of wood glue and hot glue for the short-term, long-term hold. So first I put in some wood glue on one side of that hole, and then I came in with hot glue on the stick on the opposite side. I'm going to wedge that down in there, wiggle it around, and it is going to have a very nice lock in there for you. So this has got a nice high-end finish. Do both of the legs, and then at this point we can start turning this into a darling little sheep. With it being that spring, summertime that we're always all so excited looking for ideas for, I'm going to take this yarn and I'm going to keep coiling it around and around, come up onto the side and over onto the back to finish the back side. I love a good finished project. So go ahead and keep coiling it around. Take your time because this is an easy way to get hot glue on your fingers and burn yourself. So just make sure you go all the way around really slowly. And then when you're done, make sure to fluff it up so it looks fluffy like a sheep. Then we're going to take those legs and we are going to add some hot glue into that box. and we're going to just glue those into place and hold it there until the glue dries. Now we're going to sketch out the sheep's head. It's kind of an oval shape with 2 oval ears coming off the sides. So once you've got that sketched out on a piece of paper, go ahead and cut it out. And then once you've got that cut out as a template, lay that onto your felt and cut it out from your felt. This is such a fun, easy project to do, and it really does have that French country farmhouse vibe to it. Go ahead and cut it all the way out and glue it right in the center of the sheep's body. Isn't this so whimsical and cute? I just can't even. This little sheep, he just makes me so happy. Then we're going to decorate the inside of our garden box so it looks like our sheep is standing out in a beautiful field. Go ahead and take some Spanish moss, add some glue into your crate box, and then just glue that right down in there. We don't need too much because we want to be able to add in some florals as well. And I'm going to just be using this beautiful lavender floral that I got from the Dollar Tree. And then for a little extra special touch, I took one of these library tags, and I'm going to be using the paper pad from Maggie Holmes, her garden party collection. And I'm going to cut out the little tag that says Happy Day, because this just makes me so happy, this little sheep. I'm going to cut that out and glue on into our metal library tag holder. I know there's an official name for this thing, but I don't remember. I'm so sorry. Leave a comment down below if you know what these little tags are called. And then just go ahead and glue that down into place. Clean it up. Can you tell my hands are totally calloused? I can touch hot glue pretty easily without getting burnt. I just always move it around real quick. In the end, you've got this charming little decor piece that is so perfect for the spring and summer. For this DIY, I was on Amazon and I found these beautiful farmhouse containers, and I want you to see that when you go to the Dollar Tree, they have lots of different glass options and jars that you can work with. Go ahead and pick whatever jar you want. This is one that I have on hand, and then I'm going to link these little knobs that I get from Amazon down below in my description box. Go ahead and take your drill and drill right into the center of your can lid or your jar lid. Take your time so that you don't, number one, hurt your table, and number two, hurt yourself. Go ahead and drill all the way through, and then I took outside my lid and spray painted it black. My jar, I spray painted it white, and then I added some washers onto that screw because it was a little too long. Added some hot glue up into the knob itself and tightened it. Now at this point, we're going to go ahead and bring in that rustic farmhouse look. You can always skip this part if this rustic look is not for you, but I just think it looks so pretty, and we're going for that antique farmhouse look with this one. So go ahead and rough up your glass jar with some sandpaper. Go ahead and glue on your little garden tag that I get from the garden section at the Dollar Tree. I'm using some E6000 and hot glue so it really bonds on well to the jar. And then go ahead and dust off that brown paint and cinnamon once it's all nice and dry. Touch up any of that rust look if it's a little too much for you. I just come back in with some brown paint and pat right on top and rub it into that cinnamon, and it really gives it a realistic rust look. Then go ahead and put the lid on, and you've got yourself a rustic antique farmhouse jar. I love finding vintage goodies, and something I've been trying to hunt down and have not been able to find has been an old auction sign. So I decided to make one myself. I found these chalkboard frames and I loved the shape on them, and I'm taking down a painter stick that's cut down from it being a very long yardstick, and I'm going to just simply glue that in between these two frames. It's actually the perfect size So make sure when you're gluing it down though, you're gonna see here in a second, I put the two pieces together and then realized I didn't put glue on the backside where the chalkboard part was. So I had to pull it back up again. It happens. Sometimes you just get moving and you forget to glue certain things. So I went ahead and glued those two signs onto this handle. And I went ahead and patched those holes on the chalkboard signs because it used to have twine on those holes. And now I'm going to take this wood strip. A bunch of you told me what it was called and I forgot it again, but I'm going to link it down below. This stuff is so cool. It's like wood ribbon. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. I'm just going to call it wood ribbon. But I know that it's used for building cabinets. That's what somebody told me and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So I'm going to use this stuff to conceal that this was two separate signs, two chalkboard signs. I'm going to glue it and hug that all the way around the whole chalkboard sign. This is going to really make it look like a vintage, really cool old auction sign. And this would be really fun if you have some fun baby showers or bachelorette parties to do this for yes and no signs. People can ask them questions and answer it, but I'm going to be using it where I'm going to paint on a number in just a second. But you can see here, I'm just following along that edge of these two frames, and I'm just taking my time gluing it on. Once you get all the way around the whole frame, cut off where the ending point is, and you've got this beautiful looking finished piece that looks like an auction sign, which I'm just like, I don't know why I thought this one was really cool to share today, just because it's different. Now go ahead and paint it whatever color you want. I went with a pretty white, nice and crisp, but I'm obviously going to make it look very farmhouse. And then I'm going to go ahead and take some painter's tape and some washi tape. I'm creating some different stripes because I wanted to bring in a really pretty sage green color. I'm loving that color right now. That and a French blue. It's just, I don't know, my style. I really love French blue and sage green. Go ahead and pull off that painter's tape and washi tape. Once that's dry, you can go ahead and paint on or vinyl on, whatever you want to do. Or stencil too, you can do that too. Go ahead and put on whatever number you want on your sign. You could also put a letter on for your monogram for your family. I'm going to go with 5 because there's 5 members in my house. And I'm going to go ahead and now just distress it. And you've got yourself a really cool vintage piece for your home. This project is so simple. We're going to take 3 of these darling signs that they had at the Dollar Tree. Now these are super cute and you can leave them just like this, embellish them, have some fun with them. But I want to make mine my own and make them a little bit more special, take it a little bit further. So we're going to use these 3 little different animal signs, some of these candle short stem wood holders, and then 3 dowel sticks. So go ahead by gently cracking the wood on those animals and you'll see they'll pop out. As long as you do it really slow, they'll come out really easy. And then now I'm going to take my miter shears and I'm going to clean up the bottom where their feet are. I'm going to tell you friends, I'm still on the fence about this tool. I actually was having to press down pretty hard and honestly I feel like I can cut things better with a pair of scissors. But I purchased them and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to give them a try. I will say if we were working with popsicle sticks, this is great for popsicle sticks, but anything thicker than a popsicle stick, I'm still on the fence about this tool. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and take those candle wood holders and these dowels and I'm going to put some hot glue down in there and I'm going to put a clip to keep it in place and upright. Once the glue was dried, I'm now going to prop the cow up just a little bit. I put an ink pad underneath it so it was the same height as the little wood end that I had there. You want to make sure that they're not tipped crookedly, otherwise it'll dry funny. And I'm going to now add on lots of hot glue to the back of the animal and then roll the dowel in that hot glue, making sure it's nice and sturdy, glued on there to turn this into a very farmhouse storefront sign. I think that these are so cute. Having the wooden dowel on there and having it propped up a little bit higher. I love how these turned out. I'm going to take some more black paint. I'm going to paint the back of the animal to clean it up, paint the dowel stick because I really wanted to make sure that it really stands out. And then inside of that candle wood holder, I'm going to add some more glue. And I'm going to take some of this Spanish moss and just tap that all around in there. And now I have the cutest animal signs to display in my home. I love containers like this for parties, but I did not want to spend $33.99 for this. So I headed to the Dollar Tree. I picked up one of these meatloaf pans or bread pans, and I'm going to go ahead and also grab one of these 3D wreath garden forms, and I'm going to just get to the biggest circle where it has these metal sticks that are coming down. That's to bring it all together into one big piece, but we want to just be able to use the one biggest outer ring. Go ahead and cut right where that inner stick comes down, and we're going to go ahead and use our crocodile, punch out 2 holes on our pan, and we are now going to take this piece of wire. I'm going to do the length of my pliers. You can see that I put that right in the middle of the pliers. And then I'm going to go right at the bend and then bend it again. So you've got this little arch in the wire. Then take that wire and you're going to take the end, put it into the hole that's closer to the inner part of the pan, push it down in there so you can pinch the wire's end up into the second outer hole, pull it up, wiggle it the best you need to be able to get it all the way out, and then you've now got yourself a darling handle. Now we want to make sure it doesn't just flop all over the place because that's not going to be very useful. So we're now going to just take our pliers again, we're going to bend down and start coiling it around the handle piece. And I just like to just keep coiling as tight as I can and working with it until I get it all the way to the very end. You could stop once you go once around, but I like to try to get it as tight as I can. And even then it's still going to be a little bit wiggly. So I have another trick that we're going to do in just a second. But you're going to see here that I'm just wrapping it as tightly as I can around until I get all the way to the end of that piece. Once I do, flip it over and add some hot glue onto the bottom. This is really going to lock it into place, but you're going to need to hold it for about a minute or two while that hot glue dries and locks it into place. Now we're going to move on to that brown paint and cinnamon. I just love how this looks, and I'm just going to continue that all the way around the pan in the spots that I want it to. Now you can see that against the black it's really standing out. I don't want it to look this rusty, so I'm just adding on a nice amount to start with. I'm going to dust off the excess, and then I'm going to come in with that black paint. And then I'm going to just tap all around it, really working that in and getting that look. When you add that black paint onto the cinnamon, it really gives it that bubbly, rusty look. These tiles have been so popular from the Dollar Tree, and there's all kinds of projects out there, but I wanted to do something special with it today that I hope you'll give a try. Go ahead and cut off that outer flat rim. That's going to release the adhesive strip on the back side. We don't need that adhesive strip, so go ahead and cut all the way around the tile, remove the adhesive strip, and then we're going to paint it 2 coats of white paint. I'm going to come in with my brush just real quick. Make sure you smooth out the paint around those bumpy edges. It'll take longer to dry if you don't. I'm going to use my heat gun in between those 2 sessions. I'm going to dry it, come back in with some more white paint, and then dry it once again. Once everything has been dried and it's nice and white, go ahead and take some brown and black paint combo, and we are going to dry brush across the surface. Now this is the part that's really popular, everybody's been doing, but we're going to turn it into something really special. Once you've got that texture nice and raised and it just has that farmhouse French country look, go ahead and take that tile, once it's dry, flip it over, and we're going to fold it into almost like an envelope. Fold down the sides, making sure they overlap a little bit. You're going to have to make sure you kind of push past that one line detail on the tile to get a nice fold. And then we're going to glue that into place because we are going to be making a darling pocket to put some florals or whatever you want to put inside of it, honestly, for your doorknobs, for a hook in your house. It's going to be so cute when we're done. Once you've got that glued into place, go ahead and cut it in half, or you could leave it long. You could use this in a kitchen and put all kinds of wooden spoons in it. Oh, that could be so cute too. I like to use some popsicle sticks at the bottom because this is going to help it lock into place since it's got all that texture and bumpy grooves in it. Go ahead and put 2 popsicle sticks on opposite sides of it once you get that hot glue in there. And then go ahead and use some clips, these crafting clips that I use here from the Dollar Tree, and then just clip right onto that wood popsicle stick. That's going to help it lock into place all that glue in between all those little crevices. Then go ahead and remove it. Punch 2 holes out. I'm using my A Dile, and then I'm going to feed in some wire here, and I'm just going to simply twist, twist, twist until I get all the way around, coiled up the handle part of this wire. And then I'm going to come over onto the other side and do the same thing so we can create a nice hang up wire on this darling, darling tile little hang up basket. I think these are so cool because you can fill them with all kinds of stuff, especially if you keep them long and not cut it in half. Like I said, you can fill it with wooden spoons. You can fill it with so many fun things. And you can make it even bigger and thicker depending on how many tiles you want to glue together. It's all up to you, and the options are endless. Now we want to make sure the pocket stays open, so go ahead and put some paper towels, glue those down in there, and then I'm going to come in with some Spanish moss. I'm going to glue that in there, and then after I've got my Spanish moss all glued in, now you can decide what florals you want to use. For the spring and summertime, I just think it's so beautiful. These lavender, salvia, floral stems that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to glue a couple of those down in there with the 2 different tones of purple. And then to give it that farmhouse flair, I'm going to take one of these little wooden garden tags and I'm going to glue that right onto the front. This is such a beautiful way to get the look, and it's so cost friendly. This inspiration came from Antique Farmhouse. I love these crates, but I would not pay $89 for them. So we're going to use some supplies from the Dollar Tree, 2 of these chalkboard frames, and then 10 of these painter sticks that you can get from a home improvement store. And then we're going to simply start by putting 3 on the shorter side of the chalkboard frames. I put some hot glue down first, and then I used my staple gun and stapled it into place. So you can see I've got 3 on each of the shorter sides, and then on the bottom side I've got 4 more. So at this point it's created this cute darling little crate, and completely on budget for a little bit under $3. Now I'm going to take some black paint, brown paint, and water, mix it all together to create a faux stain. And now I'm going to just simply paint that right onto the box itself, and it absorbs in, still showing the wood grain, and looks so much like the inspiration. Then I'm going to come in with some white paint and dry brush on it to distress it a little bit and make it look more rustic farmhouse, and then sand where I've got too much. And here it is, the inspiration versus mine, where I've saved a ton of money. Now we're going to be taking some of these clothespins that I found on Amazon. I'll link them down below. I love them because they have a vintage style to them. Some of these safety pins and a whole bunch of fabric. Growing up, we actually had a clothesline in my backyard and my mom used it to save on electricity. I have good memories with these clothespins and I thought it would be so fun to turn them into a collected item that we can use for a decor piece that gives us that farmhouse French country charm. So go ahead and take some strips of fabric, all different fabrics, and then wrap them around onto the clothespins. Now, fabric shops back in the day would have things like this, so you can sample the fabrics and look at them, and that's what it reminds me of. So go ahead and just wrap a whole bunch of different fabrics, textiles, ribbons, lace, whatever you want to wrap on them. Add a little tiny dot of glue to lock them into place, and then we're going to come in with some safety pins and lock that into place with the safety pins. And really it's just to get that farmhouse look with the safety pins being on them. I'm going to add on some brown paint to give it a rusty old look. Now let's talk about this idea for a second because you're thinking, Heidi, this isn't that inventive. But one of the reasons why I love the farmhouse look is the collections that people bring together. So whether it's a whole bunch of little clocks, a whole bunch of little watches, all clustered together inside of a cloche or a bowl, it gives you that farmhouse collection look. So doing this is so fun because when you put them together inside of a dough bowl, it's such a beautiful thing to put on a shelf in your home to decorate with. I hope you give this one a try. I'm so excited to share this project because it is super easy. We're going to take one of these metal trays, which by the way, I bought a ton of these when I first started shopping at the Dollar Tree. I have got to come up with some more DIYs with these. I got some stuff in mind. But we're going to take that tray outside. I'm going to spray paint it a really beautiful light gray color. And now I'm going to take this stencil that I found from Studio R12. I'll link it down below. If you don't have a Cricut, this is a great way to get lettering on projects and make them look super high-end. The trick with stenciling is you want to tap your brush into the paint and then you want to dry off a lot of it. It's almost like dry brushing. Then go ahead and put your stencil on and you're going to go in circular motions, or you can also tap, whichever one you want to do. And I'm using a rounded brush. I'll link the brush down below too as well that I use. And I'm going to just continue to roll around in circles until I get that to the darkness I want. And the darker you want it to go, you're going to repeat the process with paint. You'll tap it into the paint again and you'll swirl it off some so that it's not too goopy. That's how you stop and prevent the bleeding. And then you just come back on and keep adding more layers. So once I've got all of my letters done, you can see that I did the word grow. I like to keep the habit of keeping my stencils clean, so I just keep wipies by my desk and I just make sure I wipe them immediately, and that keeps them nice and fresh and new. Now I'm going to add 2 little buttons on the opposite side of the word grow, and once those are glued in place, I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors, snip down closer to the word because I want it to be more of a thinner strip, and then I'm also going to cut the sides to shorten that as well. And you're going to see why in just a second. But before, I like to distress. This is just drop cloth fabric. I'm going to go ahead and just rough up the side of that just a little bit to make it look a little bit more farmhouse. Now my tray has been nice and dry from sitting out in the garage. I brought it in. That's where I always do all my spray painting, is out in my garage. I'm going to go ahead and take some of this buffalo check gray fabric that I had on hand, and I'm going to pull that nice and tight around the sides of the middle of the tray to the bottom, and I'm going to cut around the back side of that fabric, making sure it's not too bulky in there. I like a good clean finished project, so I always try to make sure whenever I'm working with fabric things look clean and tidy. Once I've got everything all glued into place with that fabric, I'm going to flip it back over, and now I'm going to add on that grow tag. This is going to turn into the cutest project in about 2 seconds. Watch. Let's add on the tag, and now let's start adding in some florals. I Had so much fun making this. The biggest use of time was just waiting for the paint to dry, and other than that, this project went so fast. So go ahead and put all of your greenery in, whatever you want. You don't even have to glue it. You could put a piece of foam in there and switch out your greenery that you want throughout the year. And I'm not going to put any hang tags on mine, so I can just prop it up somewhere cute on a shelf. This project is so easy to do, and it's so cute because you can do all different types of things with it. I've picked up 3 of these little gold frames from the Dollar Tree, some of these keys from Amazon, I'll link them down below, and then I'm going to use my paper pad that I've just been using all this season. It's the Maggie Holmes Collection Garden Party. I'm going to use this tag paper, and I'm going to cut out the size that I need for the 3 different frames, and I'm just going to glue that right onto the backing of the frame. I've decided to use the glass at the front of the frame just like how you normally would put a picture in and put the backing on it, because I found that it made the keys stick to it a lot better than trying to stick it to the paper. I just liked how it looked better. So I'm going to go ahead and use some E6000, and I'm going to put that on the key as gently and cleanly as possible. And then I'm going to just take those keys and I'm going to glue them onto the front of the glass. I think these are so cute. I actually saw this at a super expensive farmhouse decor store. You guys, they were charging $25 for these key frames. I giggled. I try so hard to be respectful in those stores because I love getting the ideas there, but I just can't get over the prices that they charge for things sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, thank you for the inspiration. I just can't pay those prices. So go ahead and glue down your different keys with different pattern papers behind it. And then when you're done, these are so cute to put as a cluster on a bookshelf in your home somewhere. I had so much fun sharing these ideas today, and I hope you feel inspired. Now, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you did, and if you're new or returning and haven't done it yet, do click that subscribe button so you don't miss my new videos that are coming each week. I try to put out 2 videos a week to inspire you and to just have fun crafting with all of you. So I hope you get a chance to be in your craft rooms today, and until the next episode, bye friends.